Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy Nate coming back at you with another video here. So today's video is actually going to be about women. And I know there's a lot of videos out there on this subject, but I wanted to put a little spin on it. And that's how to avoid the wrong woman. There's a lot of videos, guys are always trying to figure out how to get women and how to do this or that. But guys, the point of this video is going to be to how to avoid the wrong women. Okay, so everyone's going to have different experiences, everyone's going to have different ideas on this, but this is just from what I've seen. This is what I believe a lot of guys are really wanting these days. And yeah, so let's hop into it. So guys, first of all, the best way to avoid the wrong type of woman is do not lead with your money. Now, I know a lot of guys, they might think that because they don't look good or because they're not very charismatic and they're not good with women, that they need to lead with their money. What that means is you need to ask her out on a nice, like really nice, first, second date. You need to show her that you have a nice car, a nice place. And guys, what's sad is a lot of guys will go to extremes with this. You have guys who will rent luxury cars for a day. You have guys who will ask their friend if they can use their really nice apartments or homes. It gets really far. So you do not want to go down this path, guys. Now, if you have a lot of money or you know people who have money, then you've probably seen or heard that those guys can get women. The problem is, I would say 99.9% of the time, it's going to be the wrong type of woman. If you are flaunting your wealth, if you're flaunting nice things, guys, I mean, it goes without saying, but you're going to find women who are gold diggers. You're going to come across women who respect you because of what you can give them, okay? So, I don't know, guys, the best way I know how to put this so that you really fully grasp it is like, it's like a really attractive woman who is being overly sexual, overly promiscuous to attract men, right? Yes, women are gonna love the fact that you can provide. Yes, women are gonna love the fact that you have money. That's just, a given. But you're going to shoot yourself in the foot if you lead with that. The best way, guys, honestly, let's say you have money, okay? Let's say you have a decent amount of money. Let's say you can afford to go on nice dates. Here's the thing, guys. You always want to go as simple as possible. That doesn't mean as cheap as possible. That doesn't mean as broke as possible, right? But you want to go as simple as possible with dates. What does that mean? You want to start out small, okay? You want to get to know her. You want to get to know this person. You don't want to try to flex you have a lot of money. Again, if you reverse these roles, right, it's kind of like a guy who's trying to find a good woman, and he keeps coming across women that he thinks might be good, but then there's obviously some signs, and they end up being like very promiscuous or very sexual with him, and he's going like, why does this keep happening to me? And that could be for multiple reasons, but the fact is that if a woman is going to throw herself at you like that, then that means she doesn't really have a whole lot of restraint, and that she's basically just putting it out there wherever, right? Especially if it's very, very fast. And so, same thing with money, guys. Like, you have to be careful because a lot of women just want to find a nice, decent guy who has a lot of money. You can be below average in pretty much every other way, but still flaunt your money and still get women. But again, you're going to be with them. They're going to be with you for the wrong reasons. And so you don't want to lead with that. So what you want to do is start simple, guys. Like, try to find maybe a cheap, even fast food restaurant that you guys both like. If you guys both like hamburgers, find a good hamburger place. If you guys both like ice cream, go out for ice cream. If you like coffee, get coffee, frozen yogurt. Like, there's all these little things. You can go to a park. You can do a lot of things, guys. You can even do, I mean, what I personally like to do is like the first time I go out with someone, I normally like to, do something a little bit simpler, where you're just getting coffee, ice cream, frozen yogurt. So you really get to know that person and you're not overly investing, you're not overly flaunting. You get to figure out the most important part, and that is if you guys can have good conversation, if you guys can have a good, mindful connection, if you guys share the same values, if you guys, get along just being around each other's presence. Like there doesn't have to be a whole lot of like stimulus. I don't believe in going out, especially for first dates, on going to bars, getting drinks, things like that. I think that that's, alcohol, to each their own, but alcohol does inhibit your thoughts. It does inhibit a couple of things. So you got to be careful with that, especially in this day and age. You just don't want to do that, especially as a first. I would even say second, and then like third date, and you just stay away from the alcohol and the drugs. Get to know that person for who they are. And honestly, by the second date, you can maybe amp it up a little bit, do something that's a little bit more fun. So if you had fun with them just talking, if you had fun with them just, basically doing nothing, but enjoying each other's presence, then yeah, for the second one, go for like a fun type of thing, right? So second date, and you could kind of combine this with the first one too, just depends like where you go, things like that. You could, for your first date, you could go to like a little arcade place or something. That's just something simple. You kind of combine a lot of things, right? For your second date, you can go bowling. A lot of places you go bowling for less than like $10 a person. You can go play mini golf. You can, like I said, go to an arcade. There's a lot of little things you can do, right? And you can do that as a first date. Again, it depends like where you meet this person, what you want to do with them, your personalities, that kind of thing. This is just the way that I tend to do these things. So after the second date, guys, really, after the first date, you should know if you want to like go out with this person again. And a second date is sort of that, like, if you're going out with the person a second time, there's got to be some genuine interest there. It's not going to be guaranteed. It's just, there's probably something there that you want to keep, going after. And honestly, guys, when you start getting like 3, 4, 5 dates in and past, it's up to you at that point. Again, it depends on the girl, depends on the type of relationship that you're going for, okay? So some people, they get into short-term relationships, or maybe they're not in a place where they can like really truly give someone a long-term relationship. I'm a big believer in long-term relationships. I don't see the point of really wasting time. The only time I see it being useful with like short-term relationships is if you're maybe not in a place that's super stable in life, and you're going out on lots of dates, short-term relationships. But again, if you find yourself in a lot of short-term relationships, it's kind of like, why? Why are you doing it? You should just either go for long-term or just, maybe not date so much, because again, I don't know, that's just me. What's the point? So once you get into those later dates, guys, you can choose, like, do you want to go out to somewhere maybe a little bit nicer? Maybe she really does like, nicer restaurants, and she's like the type of girl that you're like, yeah, like, she is a really good woman. She is, like, we get along really, really well. That doesn't mean I'm going to go straight to like a 5-star place, but maybe we can go somewhere, a little bit nicer. Maybe we can do something a little bit more, thoughtful. Maybe you can plan like a half a day type of thing where you guys go out to like a park and have a little picnic and, do that, or you guys go walk around a boardwalk or something like that. Okay, you can get creative. You can go painting. You can go, do a lot of little activities that don't really cost a whole lot. So anyway, guys, that's how you really avoid, the wrong type of women. Is really like, be careful with your dates, and then of course don't lead with money. The other thing guys, how to avoid the wrong type of women is to be sure of yourself. Now, this should probably have been first, but I just wanted to throw that out because the money thing, guys, it's so easy to get trapped in. It's so easy to do that. But the second thing, and which is equally, if not more important, is you got to be sure of yourself, okay? So a lot of women, guys, just people in general, if you're not sure of yourself, especially as a man, there's going to be people who want to take advantage of that and use it, okay? Whether instinctually, subconsciously, you have to be sure of yourself, okay? You have to know who you are. You have to know where you're going. You have to have a sense of confidence, assertiveness at all times. You have to be grounded in who you are, okay? That is going to play a huge part, especially if you get past a couple dates, because it's easy to fake 1 or 2 dates, being confident, being like macho, being someone you're not. But if this is someone you really want to be with, if this is someone that you can see yourself with, then you have to be sure of yourself. You have to be confident, assertive, be a good person, be a good man. Don't be a nice guy. Nice is people pleasing. Nice is letting people walk all over you. Nice is not being confrontational and not wanting to do anything that's going to make anybody upset. Being a good person is realizing, okay, you know what? Yes, there's times where it's okay to be nice, right? It's okay to be cordial. It's okay to be, it's okay to get along with people, obviously, but not at the expense of them overreaching your boundaries, not at the expense of them, being disrespectful of you or your loved ones. There are definitely boundaries you have to put. And if you aren't sure of yourself, guys, it's okay to not date. It's okay to steer away from women. Don't fall into this really dumb idea that you have to have a woman to be a man, that you have to be with someone like that you're lowered, like people aren't going to look at you as, as highly, right? They're not going to regard you in high esteem. Who cares, right? It's better that you have the work put in on yourself. It's better that you take time, you put the work in on yourself, you be who you want to be, you get to a point in life where you can actually entertain serious long-term relationships. And hopefully you're not having to go through a lot of long-term relationships, right? After the 1 or 2, maybe 3 dates, you should really know who you're dating. If it doesn't work, just call it off. It doesn't have to be this big deal. You can you'll just drift apart, or if they ask, just be like, hey, I just don't think we're going to be compatible. Just basically leave it at that. It doesn't have to be this big dramatic thing. But if you're not sure yourself, what's going to happen is, guys, a lot of guys, they end up being very needy, and they feel like they have to have a woman for multiple reasons. Maybe they have a hole in their heart that they never filled. Maybe they had issues growing up, family, parents. Maybe there's like a little bit of trauma or whatever there that they haven't worked through. Maybe they've had bad relationships in the past that they're working through. Maybe all their relationships have been with like certain types of women, and it doesn't work out, and they look back and go like, they finally see the pattern and go, oh, like, why was I attracting those type of women? Maybe I should work on myself more. And the more you work on yourself, the more you're assertive, the more you're confident in yourself, the more you're going to run across people who you connect with, who truly appreciate you for you, where the conversations are natural, where you're not having to force things, where you don't feel like there's any deception, where you are able to tell things apart easier. And guys, it's just a better way to live. It really, really is. And really, that's probably, I would say, the biggest thing about attracting the wrong women is, guys, women who have experience dating and stuff, they will use men. They will use you for your money. They'll use you for your time, your emotion, your social, status. If you're a fit guy, if you're tall, if you're good looking, if you have money, if you come from a good family, if you have a nice car, there's a lot of reasons why a woman would use you, right? And so that's why you really gotta be careful, right? So that was the second point. The third point, guys, is going to be really taking time. And this ties into dating, but Guys, how to avoid the wrong type of women. Again, this goes back to, I said the first couple of dates you should really know, but really, guys, it's going to take a while. It's going to take weeks. It's going to take months. Some people say you should not commit to someone. Like, when I say commit, I mean like think about getting engaged, like being engaged, getting married. You shouldn't even entertain it for at least a year. A lot of people say 2 years. And guys, there is some truth to that. Everybody's different. There's people who've met a month later, they're getting married and they've lived happily ever after for 50 years. There's people who have dated for 5 years, got married, divorced within a year. It didn't work out, right? There's stories from all extremes. There's stories from all walks of life. But generally, to be wise, you want to vet a woman. This goes for women too. Like if you're a woman watching this, you want to vet the guys you're with. Don't let some guy who seems like he's charming, nice, who has it all together, push things, rush things, to try to get you, emotionally invested and, kind of trap you. And that's where a lot of men get stuck is they, basically these women, they'll give you everything up front. They'll be the woman you want them to be. If you're trying to find a traditional woman, they will probably start to pick up on that pretty quickly, depending on y'all's conversations. You should be having these kind of conversations, right? If the only thing you're talking about is like constellations and, your favorite sports teams and, where you went to school. Like if you're talking about all these like simple, just everyday things, you're probably not gonna get very deep. You need to have good, deep conversations with, this person that you're, dating. And as a guy, it's really easy, if you're not careful, to take whatever that she gives you up front. A lot of that, guys, is going to be, she'll treat you like a king. I'll just be straight up with you. A lot of guys, they get blindsided. They get into a relationship, a few months, 6 months, a year in, it goes bad, and they're like, what? But if they just took their time and they saw these things that happened, these signs, they would have realized, okay, maybe that was a little fast. Everybody's heard the term love bombing. Basically, it's when you are very, very, very forward. You shower someone with attention and love and affection up front. And then as the weeks and months and stuff go on, that gets pulled back. It becomes more of like a weapon. Gets used as a manipulating tool, right? So you got to be careful. You got to be really careful, guys. You got to take your time. Guys are so easy because we are so logical. We basically, what we see is what we get. Like we see a hot woman and we're like, oh, she'd make a great wife, but we don't think, okay, you know what? We need to get to know her heart. We need to get to know her mind. We need to get to know her spirit, right? Where does all this come from? Being hot and attractive is great. Don't get me wrong. You shouldn't be with someone you don't find attractive, but you shouldn't just go for 9s and 10s because, well, they're hot and I'll just see what happens. No, like you have to, guys, you got to be, you got to be careful with this. You got to give it time because they will shower you with, that kingly affection up front. They will make you feel like a king. They will make you feel like you are the greatest gift on God's green earth, that you're the manliest man, that you are the best thing that's ever happened, that you don't compare to anybody else. They will, most of the time, they might try to shower you with like physical affection, sexual advances, things like that. You will have to be on guard. And I'll be real with you guys, okay? This isn't all on women, okay? This goes for men too. As men, obviously, if you are decently good with women, if you know how, to talk to women, if you're a decent looking dude, and really just if you're confident, that's the most important thing. You're gonna have women who will try to come on to you, but at the same time, as a man, you're gonna have to be careful that you're not just trying to get with every woman that you come across either, because it's very easy, especially if, you might be a little bit more attractive than the average dude, or you get to where that's the case. You're gonna have to be careful that you're just not basically going through women because of what you want at that time, right? Because it could, guys, there's countless stories of guys who they're like, yeah, I got with this woman and like now I have a kid, or now my life's ruined, and it's all because of that choice. Like, you have a choice. You got to be careful who who you invest into like that. You know, the world tries to make it seem like a very, you know, trivial, oh yeah, just have fun. But guys, there's a whole lot more going on there. And I don't know how much you guys really think into it, but there's honestly, there's a lot of like spiritual stuff that goes on there. You know, when you get with someone sexually, when you are with them, so you gotta be careful, guys. I mean, really, I don't advise it before marriage, but you know, if you're going to, right, at least make sure it's someone that you would have a kid with, like long term. Like think about that long term. Like, okay, if I did end up having a kid and I was or was not married to this person, like would that be good? And you're not gonna know that answer after a few weeks or even really a few months. You're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to see what this person's like. You're gonna have to bring them out, bring them around a lot of different people, places. How do they treat the waiter? How do they treat the cashier? How do they treat people when they're upset? How do they treat you when you're upset? Because you can be treated really nicely, but then they treat everybody else like crap. I guarantee you, if you go along with that down the road, you're going to be the one that all that anger and stuff is directed towards. It's not going to be sunshine and rainbows. You're not the exception. You're the temporary exception. You're not the permanent exception. So, guys, guard your heart. Take your time. Vet them. I hate you to use the word vet because it just seems so extreme. It's like, vetting it's so extreme. It's like, how do we get to this point? But guys, it's because people are using each other, guys. People are just following after what they feel. They're following after what they want in the moment, and they're not thinking about the long-term ramifications, the mental, spiritual, emotional, even physical ramifications, guys. You gotta be safe out there. Don't do anything stupid. Don't be reckless and wild with these women. I'm telling you, you're not the exception, okay? If you want to think that you're the greatest thing on planet Earth, you're probably not, okay? So really, really get to know them. Now, the fourth and final thing I want to go over, guys, is going to be, when you're avoiding the wrong type of women. We've gone over a few things so far, which are very, very helpful, okay? But the fourth thing, I think this is the most important, is where is her spirit? Where is, some people would say, her heart? Where are these things, okay? And, a lot of people at this point, they might click off because they're like, I don't believe in this soul and spirit stuff. But guys, I didn't really either. I didn't really think it was a big deal. Just, 4 or 5 years ago, wasn't a big deal to me either. But every human has a soul. We have a heart, right? We have a spirit. There is something very unique about humankind, okay? I believe we're made in the image of God, and I believe that we're going to live, or we're going to die after this life, okay? And so when you're with somebody, right, again, I think it should be for a long-term relationship. You should be thinking of a legacy, okay? You should be thinking, if I were to have 10 kids with this woman, then what would my life look like? You have to envision these things, and it's going to take time, okay? I know at first it's very easy to get caught up in the Disney love fairy tale, but you really have to take time. You have to hear this woman. You have to ask questions. And again, this goes for women too. It's gotta be this back and forth, Now, men and women, we do have their roles. I do believe in traditional roles. I do believe that that's very important. I think the family is very important. I think a nuclear family is very important. People might have their opinions on that, but if you look from a societal standpoint, I think it has a lot of benefits, especially in a healthy, loving, environment. And so, if her heart is wanting to go after a career more than a family, if her spirit longs for independence more than it does to be in a submissive, feminine role to a masculine, loving, providing, protecting man, if that's what she wants to do, then hey, that's cool. Where her heart, where the foundation is, what she's about. And guys, you can't change a woman. I know there's going to be some guy out there who's like, well, I know a woman who guys, that is the extreme exception, okay? Women usually do not change, okay? It's proven, science shows us over and over, this is not a weakness, this is a strength in their respective roles. Women are more emotional, men are more logical. If a woman feels a certain way, guys, you cannot fight that with logic. You really can't even fight it with feelings, because the way she's going to feel is the way she's going to feel. If she doesn't realize, if she doesn't understand, if she doesn't want to follow like your way, that's cool. She feels a certain way, she can do her certain way, she can go her own way. She can find a guy, she can find somebody that, you know, is down with that, who's okay with that, cool. But again, it goes back to knowing who you are, because I believe most men, they do want to be in that provider, protector, loving, masculine, head of the household role. I believe truly most women want a good, loving, masculine, providing, protecting man as the role, the leader of their house as well. And guys, to do that, you really just have to be patient, figure out where the heart is, the spirit is, figure her out, ask questions. You know, one of the things, and I'll leave you with this just in conclusion, one of the biggest things, guys, with women, and again, women, if you're watching this, one of the biggest things just with people in general, one of the best ways to get to know people, guys, is just ask them questions. Be genuinely interested in their life. I believe it was Andrew Carnegie. He wrote a book, or Dale Carnegie, I always get the two mixed up, wrote a book on how to win friends and influence people. It's a phenomenal book. It was written quite a few years ago, but it applies to this day in many, many, many ways. I think a lot of people have taken some of those concepts and they've twisted them, they've manipulated them, and they've kind of abused them to take advantage of people. But the core values of the book make a lot of sense. And one of the themes throughout is to be interested in the other person, okay? It's very easy to tell if someone, and it should be, you should be aware of these things. It's very easy to tell if you're being honest with yourself, if you're being taken advantage of, if somebody's looking to just use you. One of the best ways to figure that out, guys, is how much do they want to know about you? It's very easy to ask questions about people, get to know them. You'll have a lot of acquaintances, you'll make a lot of friends easily, but the ones that will be truly beneficial to your life, the ones that will be, the ones that you know are that actually care, most of the time are going to be the ones that want to know about your life as well, okay? They're going to ask questions about you. They're going to be interested in you as a person. They're going to want to help you as a person. There's a lot of one-sided relationships out there, guys. This doesn't have to be, you know, guy with girl. This could just be friends among guys, friends among girls. There's a lot of relationships out there people don't realize that they're in, where people are using them as a social status. They're using them to pedestalize themselves, maybe to make someone look bad. Guys, you got to be careful, okay? And one of the best ways to prevent that is to treat people, of course, like you want to be treated, but be interested in them, and then make sure that they're reciprocating that interest in you. Make sure that you're not overextending yourself too far. This goes back to the dating. Make sure you're not overextending yourself and giving away so much, and the woman's not giving everything back to you. This does not mean sexually. This means emotionally. This means, okay, you're gonna open up a little bit about your life, and if this woman never opens up about her life, okay, you gotta be careful. You might be talking to someone who's not emotionally available, right? If let's say you've gone on like 10 dates and she's never even attempted or brought up trying to do anything nice for you, bring you out somewhere, even if it's cheap or low cost or simple, or she never gives you a little gift, something, right? Guys, you gotta be careful, okay? Now, again, this all balances out, because you can't just take what people do for you as being nice as, oh, they're a good person. But there are ways you can check those balances. So, guys, this is how you can avoid a wrong type of woman. And I hope you find this useful. If you have any questions, let me know. Go ahead and drop a like and subscribe, and we'll be back at you with the next one.